Thank you. Good morning. For those of you who joined on YouTube Live, I apologize. I'm not sure what happened. We really did test, I promise. But we're going to try this through Zoom and upload a video. So it'll be there for you later today, or even tomorrow morning if you want to try again. Anyway, welcome. If this is your first viewing me, I'm Megan Hively. I've been teaching yoga since 2013, but been practicing for many years before. I'm excited to be sharing with you this morning a practice to help ground, to help maybe bring a little centering in during these times that are just a little bit uncertain. So we'll actually get started in a seat today, so you can be in a chair if you like, or sitting on the floor, or like me sitting on, I'm sitting on some or a blanket. You can sit on a prop as well. But once you get into your seat, we're going to start thinking about our sit bones and bringing our connection and our awareness down to the sit bones. So we have all of this energy coming at us, and in Ayurveda, they talk about energy flow in the body, and this is prana, all of this energy coming towards us. And right now there's so much that we might not be able to absorb it all, to process it all. And what can help with that is to focus on this downward energy is called apana. And if we bring awareness to our sit bones, and maybe even if you like, start to visualize maybe energy coming out of the sit bones, maybe some roots and into the earth, it can really help us to bring some of this pranic energy down, help us maybe more able to process everything that's happening. But once we have our awareness and our groundedness in our sit bones, we start to extend through the spine. And I like to think about the swirly part of my hair. I joked in the other video, it's where all my calyx are. That part lifting up toward the ceiling. So we have just maybe a slight tuck of the chin and a lift through the spine. And then once you find this length, this groundedness of the sit bones, length of the spine, you might close your eyes or let your gaze relax down. And just start to settle into this shape, into the length of your spine. And then settle into your breath. And if you like, we might start to expand the breath. But for our purposes today, really focus on the belly breathing. So with this breath, feeling your belly area expand in as many ways as possible. Front, back, all around. On your inhales and exhales, releasing. On these inhales, you might feel your diaphragm pulling down as this belly expands. And exhales, maybe you even visualize energy releasing out of the sit bones and into the earth. Anything you don't need, any of the fears, the anxieties, the uncertainty releasing into earth. Trusting that she knows what to do with it. And then keeping these deep breaths, I invite you this morning to take your right hand and the fingertips of the right hand and begin gently tapping on the sternum. So you might stay in one place with the tapping, or you might move up and down your breastbone. This is a practice from Yin Yoga. And one of the thoughts behind this practice is that your thymus gland is behind the breastbone. And this is a gland related to your immunity system. So maybe a little stimulation of our immune system as we tap. I also refer to this tapping as a heart massage. And that may be where you're feeling the pulsation in your heart space. Maybe your tapping speed starts to increase. Maybe your tapping becomes deeper. For these last few moments of this particular practice. And when this feels complete for you and you feel ready to release, what I like to do is just place my right hand right on the breastbone where I was tapping, and left hand on top of right. And take a moment to feel. To notice the sensations in my fingertips. To sense what's happening behind the breastbone. And then from this space of quiet, and maybe a little more active heart area, allow an intention to come to mind. And that could be for your day or maybe for the rest of this practice. This morning, we'll seal your intention in with a cleansing breath. Take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. If your eyes are closed, allow them to gently flutter open here, releasing your arms down by your side. And just start to bring some movements into the shoulders. And inhale, lifting them up to your ears. And exhale, rolling your shoulders down and back. Inhale, lifting shoulders up. Exhale, rolling down and back. Continuing with some shoulder rolls. So you might want to continue here with both shoulders going at the same time, or maybe you're rolling one shoulder at a time. And this is something that you take at your own pace. If you want to stay right here, low, you can, or maybe you just want to start to include the arms. That's an option too, just what feels right for you this morning. And that goes for this entire practice. What feels right for you today? It's going to be different than yesterday. Just a couple more breaths. And then we'll meet back in our tall spine with our sit bones grounded and that swirly part of our crown of our head lifting toward the ceiling. Shoulder blades pulling down the back, slowly lowering your right ear towards your right shoulder. And then a gentle tuck of the chin as we take a half circle through the center, lowering your left ear to your left shoulder. And just this gentle back and forth semicircle. To wake up your neck, a little stretch of your neck. Feel free to hang out anywhere that it would feel good to hang out in. Feel free to move at your own pace. Just be mindful of sensations around your neck. A couple more breaths. And once your sides are even and your chin is lowered back to your chest, gently lift your head back up through center. We're back at our tall spine, swirly part of head, lifting toward the ceiling. Reach your fingertips down toward the floor. On an inhale, bring fingertips together above your head. The exhale comes through heart center. Bottom of the exhale, hands release back to the ground. Inhale, arms up. Exhale through center. So here we really feel sit bones ground as we lengthen through sides of the body as arms reach up. Exhale through heart center. 2 more. Ground and lift. Exhale. And 1 more. Inhale, arms up. And exhale through center. From this space, reaching your right fingertips toward the ground, left fingertips up toward the ceiling, side stretching over towards your right. So as much as we can, continuing to think about both sit bones grounding. As we lift and reach over to the side. Lift back up through center. From here, reaching left fingertips out to the side, maybe touching your chair or the ground, right fingertips up toward the ceiling. Lift and then side stretch over. Again, grounding both sit bones down. And breathe. And inhale, lift it up through center. Exhale, both hands down. And then we'll begin to make our way into a tabletop. I'm going to turn to the side so we can get a better view. An option here, what I like to do, what feels good on my knees, is to place a blanket underneath the knees. That's always an option. But we'll begin to set up here with wrists underneath of shoulders and knees underneath of hips. And we'll come into what we call cat-cows. On an inhale, drop the belly, look up. There's an arch in the back. And on an exhale, press into your hands and round. Spinal flexion and extension. On your inhale, coming into the extension of the spine. Exhale, pressing into your hands and finding the flexion. Back to connecting movement with breath. And breathe. Two more rounds. Nice and slow and steady. Last one, inhale into the arch. And exhale into your round. Coming back to a neutral spine. Take a moment to feel the space below your belly button and pull it toward the spine, creating stabilization. Lifting toes up off the ground and taking toes to the right, both sets as we look over right shoulder. You might feel length here in left side body, pressing into your mat. And to switch, we'll lift toes back through center, taking toes to the left, looking over your left shoulder, press into your mat. One more breath. Lifting toes back through center, we come back to neutral tabletop. From this space, bringing toes together and stepping knees a little wider, pressing back into child's pose. So we're sitting back on the heels. Options to reach arms long in front of you, maybe forehead finds the mat. If this bothers your shoulders, you can always take your arms a little wider, more of a V, or you can bring even arms closer to you, or maybe even by your side. If you find yourself in this shape with your forehead on your mat, feel free to rock your head side to side, a little massage for the third eye, stimulation of the parasympathetic nervous system, our rest and digest. when you're ready. And from this shape, we press back into our tabletop. And we have the option to stay right here, maybe take any more movements that feel good in the body. Or if you want to come into a downward facing dog, tucking the toes and begin to lift your hips, coming into our upside down V. And again, feel free to stay in one shape in this space with knees bent as much as you need, or you may move a little, pressing one heel into the mat at a time as you bend the opposite knee. For a downward facing dog especially, feeling shoulder blades pulling down the back, shoulders pulled into the socket. And then again, only if this feels right for you, we're going to put these shapes together in a little bit of a flow. On an inhale, coming into a wide knee tabletop. Then your exhale, press back into a child's pose. Your inhale lifts you back into tabletop. Downward facing dog. Inhale into tabletop. Exhale, child's pose, sitting back, warming up joints. Inhale, tabletop. And hold this downward facing dog. And we'll begin from here to walk hands back toward the feet. So whatever bend in the knees feels good for you here, take it. And then once hands come closer to the feet and we have some stability in the feet, we have the option of taking our feet a little wider, maybe a little closer. We can keep our hands on the floor for grounding if that feels good for you this morning, or you can always grab an elbow in each hand if that feels better. We can sway, move, or stay still. What works for you in a forward fold today? If your hands are at the elbows, releasing them back toward the ground, and we'll start to walk hands up the legs. So this may require a deeper bend in the knees as we start to come to standing. So I like to pull belly button towards spine, beginning to round the spine. I also like to bounce the knees a little bit to get blood flowing up to the brain. So come into a standing position. I'm going to move my blanket and turn to face you so you can get a little better visual. We'll meet here in mountain pose with palms open toward whatever you're watching. Shoulder blades pulling down the back, and we come back to this sensation of grounding through the heels and this lift through the swirly part of the crown of your head. Maybe you pause for a moment and close your eyes, feeling your connection to earth through the feet. I like to have a little bend of my knees here. Maybe you almost feel like you're pressing into the earth. And if eyes were closed, gently fluttering them open here. Taking your stance a little wider and turning toes out. Finding that slight bend in the knees. Feel the weight in your heels, and on an inhale, straighten the legs and bring fingertips together above your head. A little squat through center on the exhale as hands come through center. Press into heels, inhale, arms up. Exhale through center. Release, press into the earth. And exhale through center. Take one more of those, grounding through the heels, inhale, arms up. Exhale, this time, fold through center. Maybe let your fingertips touch the ground. So again, I'm going to turn just so you get maybe a better visual. From this stance, we'll start to bend the right knee a little deeper. Right fingertips stay on the floor. Left fingertips reach up toward the ceiling, straightening left leg. If you watch Next Top Model, a little bit of a booty tooch there on the left hip. And a gentle switch will bend both knees. Left fingertips find the ground, right fingertips reach up. Right leg straightens, we booty tooch out our right side. And then both knees bend, both hands to the ground. And gently stepping back into a tabletop. Cross your ankles and we'll meet back in our seat. Taking a moment to settle in, feeling the sit bones ground. That swirly part of the crown of your head lifting toward the ceiling. Again, maybe your eyes close or maybe your gaze relaxes. And I'd like to leave you with a little excerpt from Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. He'd been speaking about this great Indian philosopher and spiritual teacher. And this teacher told his students, he said his secret is that he doesn't mind what happens. And Eckhart Tolle's thoughts around this: when I don't mind what happens, what does that imply? It implies that internally I am in alignment with what happens. What happens, of course, refers to the suchness of this moment, which always already is as it is. To be in alignment with what is means to be in a relationship of inner non-resistance with what happens. It means not to label it mentally as good or bad, but let it be. Does this mean you can no longer take action to bring about change in your life? On the contrary, when the basis for your actions is inner alignment with the present moment, your actions become empowered by the intelligence of life itself. To close out this morning, you might bring your hands together and press thumbs into your heart space. Taking a moment to honor your heart, to honor yourself, to honor the others who may be watching today, to honor all the teachers who have come before us, and to honor this practice. Namaste. If you are familiar with me, you know I like to finish completely with some spirit fingers, so feel free to find some freedom of the fingers. Thank you guys so much. Until next time.